two important calls, 1803 and 1809, which Michael Steele is alleged to have made to Jack Womes. And according to Darren Nichols and the police, Michael Steele was meant to have been in the halfway house, public house, at the time of those calls. The evidence of David Bristow is absolutely impossible. He couldn't have been there because of the topography of the land. Those calls went through the Childerditch cell tower, and it was more likely, highly likely, that he was actually where he said he was, in Bolton, which is the evidence that his partner also put forward. And the other important thing that we discovered is we've done the timelines for each of them. We followed the actual timelines. The original police investigation and defence at the time had looked at the timeline for Jack Womes and Darren Nichols, but they never looked at the timeline for the victims. When you follow the timeline for the victims, Tucker, Tate and Rolfe in the Range Rover, it's impossible for that Range Rover, the victims, to have got to Workhouse Lane in time for their murders. It's a very tight, narrow 11 minutes. Tucker, Tate and Rolfe could not have got to the scene in time for that 11-minute window. So it all falls apart. And there's one really, really important point. Jack Womes, at 12 minutes past 5, was in Sudbury, in Willemere Caravan Park in Sudbury. And we know he was there because the phone call that he makes goes through the Sudbury cell site, the BBC mast. Darren Nichols says that Jack Womes was at Marks Tay at 5 p.m. That's impossible. Unless he's a time traveller, you cannot get from Sudbury to Marks Tay, you know, before you've even left. It's 25 minutes minimum on a decent day. And nobody seemed to have picked that up at the trial. But the bottom line is he couldn't possibly have been where Darren Nichols said he was. It's impossible.